2026 Toyota bZ, cheaper, better, and finally more competitive. Toyota is giving its entry-level electric SUV a major refresh for 2026, and the biggest surprise? It's actually cheaper than the model it replaces. The SUV formerly known as the bZ4X is now simply the Toyota bZ, and Toyota is hoping the shorter name, lower starting price, and meaningful upgrades will make it far more appealing in the crowded EV market. Price drop, yes, really? Let's start with the headline. The 2026 Toyota bZ starts at $36,350 for the base XLE trim. That's $2,115 cheaper than last year's cheapest bZ4X, even though the destination fee climbed slightly to $1,450. It's not often you see a car company release a new version of a car that's actually less expensive, so this is refreshing. Now, Toyota does trim the battery size a little here. The entry XLE gets a 57.7 kWh battery with 236 miles of range, compared to the 252 miles you got before. Power also drops to 168 horsepower from last year's 201. So yes, you give up a little performance and range with the base model, but it's still a solid offering for someone who just wants an affordable EV SUV. Step-up trims bring big gains. If you're willing to spend a bit more, the XLE Plus trim is where things really get interesting. For an extra $3,000, you get a bigger 74.7 kWh battery, up to 314 miles of range, and 221 horsepower. That's a big jump over the entry version, and even more range than any version of last year's bZ4X. Even better, it's only about $855 more than last year's model that had less range and power. Moving up, the XLE AWD trim pairs the larger battery with dual motors for all-wheel drive. Power jumps to 338 horsepower, up from 214 before, and range improves to 288 miles, up from 228. So, this trim brings both more fun and more practicality. At the top of the lineup is the bZ Limited, which gets up to 299 miles of range with FWD or 278 miles with AWD. Both figures are major improvements over the old Limited model. Pricing does climb here, up to $1,555 more expensive in some cases, but you're also getting a more capable and competitive EV. Real-world driving and charging. On paper, the numbers look great, but how does it perform in the real world? In Motor Trend's highway range test, the 2026 bZ Limited AWD managed 222 miles at 70 miles per hour before hitting 5% battery. That's short of the official 278-mile claim, but still about as good as the previous bZ4X could do under ideal conditions. The smaller pack models should also see more realistic results since they carry less weight. Toyota has also finally fixed one of the bZ4X's biggest weaknesses, charging. The new bZ now comes with the NACS, Tesla, charging port, meaning way more reliable charging stations are available. The onboard AC charger also improves to 11 kilowatts, from 7 kilowatts, so home charging is faster. Plus, Toyota added battery preconditioning, which keeps the battery at the right temperature for quicker charging, even in cold weather, something the old bZ4X really struggled with. How it stacks up against rivals. Of course, Toyota isn't launching the bZ into an empty market. Let's see how it compares. Hyundai Ioniq 5. This has been one of the best EVs out there. But the base Ioniq 5 is nearly $8,000 more expensive than the bZ XLE. Yes, it offers slightly better range, 245 miles versus 236, but it's hard to argue against Toyota's price advantage. Even fully loaded, the Toyota undercuts the Ioniq 5 Limited AWD by over $13,000, while offering nearly the same range. Chevrolet Equinox EV, this one is closer. The entry Equinox EV LT1 FWD is about $1,355 cheaper than the Toyota bZ XLE and offers 5 miles more range with a bigger 85 kWh battery. But once you move up trims, the Toyota starts to look better. The Equinox EV RS AWD costs more than the bZ Limited AWD, and despite having a much bigger battery, it only delivers 7 miles more range. Cargo space is nearly identical between the two as well. So if you're strictly chasing the cheapest way into an EV SUV, the Chevy might win at the very bottom. But if you want more balance between price, performance, and features, the Toyota makes a strong case. Final thoughts. The 2026 Toyota bZ is proof that Toyota is finally taking EVs seriously. By lowering the entry price, boosting range and power, and fixing charging headaches, it addresses nearly every major complaint people had about the bZ4X. Sure, the base model sacrifices some range and power, but the mid-level trims are more than worth the extra cost. Compared to rivals like the Ioniq 5 and Equinox EV, Toyota's bZ lineup isn't perfect, but it's finally competitive, and in some cases, the smarter buy. For buyers who want a Toyota badge, solid efficiency, and access to Tesla's charging network, the new bZ could be the EV SUV that gets them to finally make the switch.